Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to talk about something that honestly should probably be explored a lot more in the gacha space, and that is the Hoyo Civil War that has been occurring for pretty much the past couple of years, if we're frankly being honest. I think that the Hoyo community as a whole is finally just going to start imploding on itself, because it's pretty clear from every single line of conversation we've seen about comparisons between Wuthering Waves and Hoyo games. Well, Wuthering Waves pretty much comes out on top every single time. Think about the discourse where it was like Cartithia's animations versus Skirk's. Yeah, Skirk's got nothing on that shit. Think about the comparisons, right? Where we're talking about like Wuthering Waves' combat, or Wuthering Waves' rewards, or Wuthering Waves' character design versus Genshin. There's not really like a discussion over here. One clearly is better than the other. And so now we've gone ahead, and instead of looking outward for fights, the Hoyo community is now looking inward to make these comparison struggles, because they're not really able to do it with Wuthering Waves anymore, with one being objectively the better game. And so this is a post that I found on my timeline, and I don't follow either of the parties involved. It was just something that came up on my feed, and I found it hilarious. Her model has more 3D assets than like 5 HSR characters combined. Yep, we're now in the Genshin versus HSR conversation, boys. And so let's go ahead, let's read the original post, right? Because this is taking a look at Chiori and all of the stuff she has on her outfit. Oh, looks amazing. Awesome. Yeah, sure, everyone loves that character. This person would gag if they saw Genshin diarrhea. We'll talk when Genshin starts actually layering playable characters' outfits instead of drawing them on. And this is a response to somebody saying, Genshin has the first playable robot based off the new Nod Cry character releasing in 3.8. Before HSR, Genshin, the fantasy-themed, high fantasy-themed game with, like, electro slimes and, like, hilichurls and shit like that, is getting a playable robot faster than HSR, the game that takes place in space. So, this is the thing, guys. The Hoyo community at this point, one of the big critiques that people make about Wuthering Waves is that they call it comparing waves. Right? They say that Wuthering Waves players are so insecure about the state of their game, they constantly need to compare with other titles to make it seem like they're better than they actually are. When in reality, the Hoyo community is genuinely the one that does the most comparing. And this is the thing, they do comparisons about things that don't even matter that much. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Who gives a fuck if it's a playable robot? Your game still has no reserve stamina system. Your game still has weekly boss mats that are randomized, that you need a dream solvent. Your game still has locked talent materials to specific days of the week. Who fucking cares about a playable robot when the outer game that the playable robot is in is still dog shit? Who cares? This is the type of stuff that they're willing to discuss. This is the type of stuff that they're willing to have like a public discourse drama over. Stuff that doesn't fucking matter because they literally have nothing else that they can talk about. That is how pathetic the state of these fucking games are. This is the discourse. This is what is getting 180k views. Talking about the layering of fucking flowers on a Geo character's kimono. And this is the thing. This isn't the most recent time that this has happened. I'm pretty sure you all remember an incident way back in the day that I think really sums up the Hoyo Civil War, the Hoyo tribal warfare that has been occurring, and that is the Dr. Ratio drama. Do you all remember back in the day when Dr. Ratio was given out for free by the Honkai Star Rail devs? And one of the big things that resulted from that was all the people, look how low Ron May is over here. Look how high Genshin Impact is over here when there wasn't a Genshin update live. Everybody was saying Genshin could never. Everyone was saying how bad Hoyo, or how bad the Genshin devs were. This is actually fake over here. Or I think it's actually fake. The Honkai Star Rail devs saying that Genshin could never. But the chat over here, I'm pretty sure it's real. Where everybody in the Honkai Star Rail live stream chat during that update where Dr. Ratio was given out for free, they were all spamming Genshin could never. And that is where the phrase comes from, ladies and gentlemen. That is where the Civil War has been occurring. And the reality is, there's nobody that hates Hoyo games more than Hoyo gamers themselves. They are their own worst enemy, to the point where they're constantly in some sort of desire to be on top, that they'll start cannibalizing their own players, their own points, and actually start rejecting actual improvements to their games and view those improvements as negative things. For example, over here, we've got a Hoyoshill, maybe actually a past Hoyoshill, but somebody with a big Hoyoshill history, Brand Online, saying that he thinks adding a skip button to Genshin is a great idea. And Brother Man got incinerated for these replies. Brother Man got quote retweeted into oblivion. The posts over here are actually pretty positive because they're direct replies. He got quote retweeted into oblivion by Hoyo players, by Genshin shills, telling him that a skip button is the worst thing ever, that it's only for people that have a low attention span and a low IQ. But then Honkai Star Rail added a skip button. And now we have Honkai Star Rail players and ZZZ players, right? Notice how Wuwa isn't in this post, despite having the best skip button out of all the games. Now we have HSR and ZZZ players bragging about the fact that they have a skip button, but Genshin doesn't. How about you talk about the fact that the ZZZ skip button is dog shit? That the ZZZ skip button is fucking terrible. That it only lets you skip conversations that you actually want to listen to. How those millions of lines from a baying boo you don't give a fuck about in the overworld, that you have to click literally 40 times to get through. You can't skip those. But the voice dialogues with great animations and great transitions, yeah, you can skip those. Then you'll have ZZZ players like this coping and telling you, oh, just click fast. When in reality, why aren't you just asking the devs to give you an actual fucking skip button? Who the fuck cares if you can click fast? I have arthritis. Like, what the fuck? Huh? How about you just ask for a skip button that works properly? What is this copium shit? How does that even make sense? And then HSR, it looks like it's going to let you skip by the paragraph. Well, we'll still have to see how it actually works. But in reality, you should still be comparing yourselves to Wuthering Waves and talking about how the skip button in ZZZ is a steaming pile of horseshit. And how the skip button in HSR, if it is similar to ZZZ, how that is horseshit as well. But ZZZ players, they'll still defend their implementation, even though it's bad. Even though you can only skip the comic book art style and the voice cutscenes. But the boring-ass overworld dialogues, you can't skip those. What a fucking joke, right? And then they're over here bragging about it to Genshin players. Hey, look at our shitty implementation of the skip button. Let me just find an example. I have to look up ZZZ gameplay. It's gonna be hard to find a video of it, though, because nobody makes content on this fucking game. Okay. Let's check this out, guys. I can skip this dialogue in ZZZ. This dialogue is skippable. This is not. Dialogue like this is not skippable. But the voiced cutscene one with animations is what is skippable. And you're bragging about this. ZZZ player, you're bragging about this skip button. Where is it? Where is it? This is how pathetic the Hoyoverse community is. You remember how I mentioned before that they're just gonna brag about whatever they can, compare whatever they can, even if it seems slightly better than dog shit? It's because they're this desperate to appear better, to appear that they're on a higher level compared to other games, even when what they have is still pathetically bad. We got people in Genshin bragging about playable robots when the game itself is fucking awful. But hey, we got robots over HSR. We had people bragging about their free Ron May and free Luocha in HSR, ignoring the fact that they have rampant power creep and that those characters are fucking dog shit after the power creep that they've had for 2 years. Ron May? Oh, good luck playing Super Break when the new boss has a locked break bar. Good luck using your free Ron May when the boss has a locked break bar. It's like, these people, they just want to seem superior in every single way possible. But their games are fucking bad and progressively getting worse every single update. It's crazy. Now let's look at the next one. Genshin has 100 characters in 5 years and HSR has 71 in 2. Very true. right? Now this is Genshin bragging about the fact that they release characters at a snail's pace, and then HSR getting shit on for the fact that they have a power creep unit every update. That they have 2 new 5-star characters every single update. It's both these games being dog shit. And you wanna know what other people have said? People have used this point over here. Genshin has 100 characters in 5 years. Oh, they don't release characters really fast, to justify why there aren't any pulls in the game. They're using the fact that Genshin doesn't release a lot of characters to justify why they only have like 50 pulls a patch. Knowing that their pity for a character to guarantee them is still 180, they're like, yeah, guys, who cares that the banner schedules in the games are exactly the same? Who cares that there are still 2 reruns every patch? Who cares that there are still 2 characters up and the patches last the same amount of time? Yeah, it's because Genshin doesn't release that many characters, it's okay for the game to only have 50 pulls an update. Now we have Genshin players bragging about how little pulls they have. And when Wuthering Waves is the game with the best gacha system, with the most pulls, with the most generous banners, and a good blend between character releases and patches to save, why do you think nobody is ever talking about Wuthering Waves anymore in these conversations? People say comparing news or comparing waves, right? Oh, all Wuwa players do is compare. How is it just Wuwa players that compare when there are still so many examples of Hoyo games comparing to everybody else? This is the reality of the situation. Wuthering Waves literally does everything better. And so Hoyo players never want to compare with Wuwa. But every single time Hoyo players think that their game is doing something better, they'll compare. But they can't compare it to Wuwa, so they just compare it to other Hoyo games. That's why Wuwa is never involved in these conversations, because everything that they're talking about, Wuthering Waves does it better. So they choose Friendly Fire instead to seem like they're on top. So who's doing the comparing now, ladies and gentlemen? Is it really just comparing waves? Or is it really just the Hoyo community as a whole? And because Wuthering Waves is not an eligible target for the comparing, they're blaming Wuwa players. And they're saying it's the Wuwa community that's the problem. When in reality, no, everybody does it. Worst gacha MC of all time by I Cherish Nahida. Clearly, they're a fan of Genshin and also other weird shit as well. I guess they know for certain Wuthering Waves has the best MC in all of gacha gaming, with the best characterization, the best pop motivation, the best voice acting. And so, of course, right, they gotta search for other targets. So they're not gonna choose Wuthering Waves, but they will compare it to other Hoyo games. Bell and Wise, so do know Fluffy Doe's is Easy show, who just shows up to my stream every day for some reason. Bell and Wise, after 2.0, worst main characters I've ever seen in an update before.
Oh, Shifu. Oh, Shifu, you're so strong and intelligent. Oh, Shifu. Oh, Shifu, you're so capable.
Dog shit. Awful unit. Awful characters. Have never seen worst MCs in a gacha update before. Awful. Awful. If you think Bell and Wise are the best MCs in gacha after ZZZ 2.0, you're a shill. You're awful at judging characters, judging stories. No, I don't need to finish the story. I don't need to finish the story to make that take. Yeah, I played through half of it, and Bell and Wise are fucking pigs, bro. They're so gross. They are so gross. The last time Bell and Wise were good was in version 1.4. That was half a year ago. It's been 6 months since they were good. They spent, actually, ZZZ has been live for 1 year. 50% of it has been good MCs. The other latter 50% has been dog shit MCs. They've only been good for 50% of its service. And now they're at the lowest they've ever been.
Oh, Shifu. Oh, Shifu, you're so strong and capable. Oh, Shifu, I need you to train me. Oh, Shifu.
That shit is not playable, bro. What else do we have? Healer in HSR versus Healer in Genshin. Oh, man. Oh, man. Well, now we're talking about how dog shit the kits are in Genshin, and we're bragging about the power creep that's in HSR. Even when they're doing their comparisons, even when this community is doing the comparisons, they don't even compare good things. This is like, hey, look how much we power crept our game. Isn't this so good? Or it's like, look how dog shit Kokomi's kit is. Isn't that better than the power creep in HSR? There's so much friendly fire in this community, so much comparison, that these individuals going ahead and trying to pin any blame at all on Wuthering Waves when they are their own worst enemy is one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen in the space. This was on June 14th, by the way. Yeah, we're already going ahead and we're saying that HSR has a horrible character design when they're both made by the same fucking company. Then we have people comparing the cutscenes. We had people comparing the dynamicness of their dialogue. We even brought Honkai Impact 3 into it as well. Hoyoverse players are their own worst enemy, ladies and gentlemen. They are their own worst enemy. They'll put this much time, this much effort, do this much work to sabotage themselves and create hate narratives around themselves and their own games by the same parent company. But Wuthering Waves is the one that's doing the comparisons. Wow. Isn't that just funny? Isn't this just hilarious, ladies and gentlemen? I don't really know what to say at this point. So yeah, next time you see somebody going ahead, trying to put some blame on the woo-wah community, trying to pin the woo-wah community as the one that's doing toxic comparisons, as the ones that's causing all the damage in the space by constantly comparing themselves to Genshin Impact, constantly comparing the devs of Kuro versus the devs of Hoyo, understand that those stupid idiots are just lying through their teeth because they're the ones doing it to themselves the most of all for everything possible. And that's the fact of the matter. They are their own worst enemy. So let me know what you all think, ladies and gentlemen, about this expose, about this reveal, and peace.